All right, we are live. Good evening, everybody. Jenna and I are back. This week we were here Tuesday night. We did the
Tuesday night.
virtual grams. Yeah. And then we got a special lottery release coming. It's out. Well, the email came out today. So we're going to preview this bottle for you. And spoiler alert, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm trying to save all of my excitement for this moment.
Jenna was excited. Actually, we were about 15, 20 minutes ago. We got on here and was getting everything set up. And Jenna already started kind of looking at it, and I was like, "Whoa, stop! Don't be saying that much. Like, you got to hold that for the review."
I got to save it. Save my excitement for this. Yeah, this is exciting. I'm very excited for this particular bottle for a couple of different reasons. One, it's from Ireland, which I am such a massive Irish whiskey fangirl that anytime I get a chance to taste an Irish whiskey, I am all for it. So really excited for that. And the cask type that this is in is incredibly exciting. One of my absolute favorites. And so just very excited to just get into this whiskey.
Yep, absolutely. So we do have. Let's get the banner up. Do you want to introduce it, or you want me to introduce it?
Um, Go for it.
All right, we've got us. This has the black label, red top, old and dignified, but a U.S. exclusive cask, 51.21. So this is for St. Patrick's Day. All of the bottles came to the States, hence U.S. exclusive on this one. 169 bottles in the allocation. 51.21, delightful intervention. 19-year-old Irish whiskey. This is a single malt Irish whiskey. Double maturation on this one. 17 years in an ex bourbon barrel and 2 years in a first fill ex Sauternes barrel. 56.2%.
Those are the words.
So this is by lottery, which runs through Monday, I want to say. Is that right?
Yes, this ends on Monday.
The 6th.
And yes, on the 6th at 1:00 Eastern time. And so make sure you click the link below us and get your entries in.
Yeah, when they asked if we wanted to do a YouTube preview of this one.
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yes, sign me up.
Who wouldn't?
Yes, 19-year from Northern Ireland in Sauternes. It's a no-brainer. I mean, really, it's a no-brainer. So I may have even cheated a little bit and poured a little Sauternes. Well, I kind of finished it just to kind of, freshen my palate up.
Yeah, that was a good idea. And get Sauternes on the palate and kind of let you know. You'll have a better idea then, if any Sauternes, what's coming through on this whiskey.
Right. Yeah, Sauternes is things just. I think you could probably put like milk in a Sauternes barrique, and I would want to taste it, just because I love Sauternes, like whiskeys that have been sitting in a Sauternes barrique. It is just, it's so good. So I'm very excited to taste this. And if you're not familiar with what Sauternes is, it's a very sweet French wine. Here's kind of what mine looks like. This is kind of the color of it. And on the nose, at least for this particular one that I was getting into, it's very like tropical and funky. That's what I really love about Sauternes, is there's this just like funk to it that is just absolutely fantastic. And you just put whiskey with that and it's just magic. So
just real quick though, what you were just showing is the actual Sauternes wine.
This is the Sauternes wine.
That's not the whiskey. Right.
Not the whiskey. This is Sauternes wine. That I poured a little bit in my glass to, But yes, look at I gotta pour a little extra. I gotta pour a little more in here.
Yep. Nice darker color on this one. Not too bad. Almost a little bit of a pinkish hue.
Yeah. When I was pouring it in my glass the first time, I was like, whoa, there is like a pink hue to this. Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful. So very excited to get into this whiskey. So shall we?
Let's a little roll call real quick before we get in there. Sanctus Vitae, Andrew Hamaker, Ian K, Stewart of Butte, John Coling. Talked to John on the phone today. Talked to Andrew yesterday. And let's see who else. Duke McHale tuning in. Joe Combs is here. T. Roy. And that's it right now.
All right. Well, shall we just stop talking and get into it?
Well, real quick, I realized though too, we mentioned cask 51.21. If you're new to the channel, how does that work? 51 means that's the 51st distillery that we've bought whiskey from, and 21 means this is the 21st cask that we've bought from that distillery. So our releases, of course, being single casks, cask strength, we don't water them down. So this is right out of the barrel into the bottle and into your mouth.
Yes.
Funky. And so you had a little bit, you had some good wine knowledge on Sauternes and how they, the process of fermentation of the grapes, and it goes a little bit longer and they turn a little bit funky.
Yeah, I'm definitely not an expert when it comes to wine. So I'm going to go ahead and just make that very clear. But what I do know of Sauterne is essentially, I think when they harvest the grapes, they wait for something called noble rot to happen. And it essentially like dehydrates the grapes, which gives it that that's where you get that like its intense sweetness on the palate of this. And the sweet part, I'm not like a huge sweet drink kind of person. But I think the fact that there's so much just like funk in both Sauterne wine, at least that I have had experience with, and that translates into the whiskey. Like when I nosed and tasted it, for the first time, I was like, there's that blue cheese note that I get in, Sauterne finished whiskeys. And I definitely recommend tasting it at least once. So you can at least kind of know what it sits like, on your palate. So it's just funky. It's so funky.
It is. I don't know about blue cheese yet, but I mean, it's definitely like sour. Well, I was going to say sour grapes, but just kind of it's tart fruits,
Mm-hmm.
and sweetness and almost mushroomy for the funk kind of to me. Not necessarily blue cheese yet, and it could show up, but more kind of like mushrooms or that dank basement you get sometimes.
Yeah, it is kind of like a dank funk. I'm getting like it's quite tropical. There's like tropical notes, like funky tropical jam, like a tropical jam with like lemon, honey, pineapple. That's just been that's I don't know, turned like 10 years ago, and it's just this funky, gross, but delicious kind of nose.
Yeah.
I really just like that.
This is it's one of those that you get some of those notes off of, and people are like, why would you drink that?
Yeah.
It's like, no, but in a good way.
It is. And it's like, you don't really, it's like you have to have that moment, right? Where you're like, oh my gosh, this tastes like Band-Aids and this is the best thing I've ever tasted. Then you have to kind of check yourself and be like, why did I just say I like the taste of Band-Aids? Like, it's just one of those things you have to experience.
I'm getting some berries underneath the funk as well, and the citrus fruits. But I just got some raspberry and some blueberry.
Ooh, I can see the blueberry thing.
Yeah, kind of syrupy.
Yep, a little syrupy.
Nutty, a little bit of peanut.
Honestly, it reminds me of like a cheese board.
No, yeah.
Funky cheeses, nuts, berries, honey. Yeah, it's like jam. It's like a funky cheese board.
Yep. And I just got, as soon as you said cheese board, I got the blue cheese.
There is just like, I don't know what it is. And that was like one of my favorite notes I got on one of my dream society whiskeys that I had many moons ago. It was in Sauterne as well. And that was the first time I was like, what is this? What is this? This is fantastic. I'm going to cleanse my palate with my jug here.
All right.
All right.
Yep, I'm ready. Cheers.
Slange. Scott.
Yes.
Scott. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
This is
ooh,
amazing.
it is. Yeah.
This whiskey is like, holy
And,
moly.
and the thing is, it starts hitting your taste buds before you even breathe. Before you take a breath. Usually you have to swallow and you take a breath and then you start to get some stuff. This one, as soon as you take that first sip and it hits your tongue, you can feel those fruits and that funk. Now, so first off, though, too, I'll tell you today, because I did open this earlier today and took a couple sips. And on first sip, I actually thought, is this a pot still? Because it's turning tropical and it's very floral. And that's a lot of that sometimes I get with single pot stills in Irish whiskeys. But I was like, I don't think Bushmills uses single pot still. And it's labeled single malt whiskey. So I went and looked. Oops. Anyway, this distillery doesn't do single pot still. They just do single malt whiskey. I had to go to the website and look and see, and everything they have is single malt whiskey. But it's really at 19 years. If you like single pot still whiskeys, and it's moving into that floral and those tropical notes are showing here. Like I say, this is a single malt whiskey, and it's just that Sauternes influence on this one. Very gorgeous, very nice.
I mean, this is like, for some reason, I thought they did pot still.
Mm-mm.
I don't know if that's just in my head. I got to go back and look at that.
That's what I thought at first too. But every offering they have is are single malts. Well, except for their baselines, which they just say blends.
Right.
But yeah, thanks, Joe.
Oh my gosh. I'm just like, I'm very captivated by this.
Chocolatey, little bit of toffee to it, nutty, funky, that blue cheese. This is a charcuterie board with some sweets on it though too. Some of those chutneys and jams, like an apricot peach chutney, and blue cheese, honeyed. Yeah, it's like you took a cracker on that board and you put a little bit of blue cheese on it with some of that apricot chutney and a little bit of honey on it and a blueberry on top.
I mean, this is just like, it's musty. It's like the mouthfeel on this is so viscous and like gooey. I mean, it just coats like every just like corner of your palate. You get like that old almost like library and book and paper, and you get like that funky like blue cheese note, and it's just like in the back. It's not like you're gonna drink this and be like, oh my gosh, this is like liquid blue cheese. It's not like that. It's just this like faint funky like just note that like it's right in the top back part of your palate, and it's just, this whiskey is so good.
It is.
It is so good.
I'm throwing some tropical fruits in there though too. I mean, there's some pineapple on this, some papaya, some mango, some rose petals. You're getting some of those floral notes. Wow. I mean, there is so much going on with this one.
So much. Ooh. I mean, it is like, yeah, it's like a musty, it's like eating like you said, a charcuterie board with fruits and jams and all different types of meat, all different types of like funky cheeses, and like a very musty library.
Yeah.
Like imagine that with like a mouth feel that is something from your dreams. I mean, I'm really trying to tone down my excitement here because I sometimes go off the rails and I have to tone it down. Enter this lottery. If you listen to any advice from us at any time during your experience here, do it now and enter this lottery. This is just beautiful whiskey.
So a drop of water on mine, and it's almost a little bit more floral even on the nose. Wow. It doesn't, this drink's beautiful neat. The 56.2%.
I mean, it is like, there is no like burn. There is no harshness to this. There is it is just like liquid silk on your palate.
That's right. Yeah. It's deceiving, and it's going to get somebody in trouble because it doesn't drink like it's 56.2.
No,
It's
not at
very
all.
nice. Yep. You're going to wake up on the wrong side of the truck bed in the morning if you drink this one too much.
I mean, and it's easy because this whiskey is so fantastic. I'm almost getting like now that I've like kind of had it, I'm getting like a black tea and apricot note like on the finish. Like in just as I'm talking, I'm getting this like really like black tea, apricot black tea note, like dried apricots.
Yeah.
Like it's a little tart, but it's a little like musty. It's a little, I don't know, tannic. It's really, yeah.
I still get a slight peanut, very slight nuttiness, all that funk, sweetness, tropical, floral, chocolatey, white chocolate. Yeah, it's just, I mean, this is just gonna, I mean, it's gonna get better. It's just gonna keep opening. Berries, raspberries, blueberries, pineapples, mango. Ooh.
Okay. So when you drink Sauterne wine, it has that same effect. Like the second it hits your palate, before you've like taken a breath or like actually tasted anything, that sweetness of that Sauterne, it's like instant. It is like this electrifying like note that just goes over your palate before you can even take a breath and taste it. This whiskey does that exact same thing, but it's not with sweetness. It's with, I don't know, it's like that. It's so the viscosity on this whiskey is so dreamy. I have to stop talking because I'm really trying to tone it down here.
All right. So I'll try to talk you into adding a water. It is becoming, it's more velvety, a little bit more of the oak showing, and the fruits are really kind of expanding and pushing out of their shells here.
All right.
Yeah. You've got more.
I know, but I'm trying to savor this. All right. Let me just do a little baby. All right.
Everybody in the chat wants to know if you mean it when you say enter the lottery.
Yes, you please click the link, put your name, put your email. You want to do this. This is definitely a lottery worth playing.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got the price on there as well. One bottle per member, $295. If you win the lottery, $295 for the bottle for a 19-year-old Irish single malt at cask strength, 56.2%. There's
do it. Just do it. Trust us. Do it.
And I think that's, wow, man, the nose on that with water.
I know. I was gonna say, I didn't want to say it. I did not want to give you
the satisfaction
of me saying, oh, with a little water, the nose of this is beautiful. But it is. It is. I feel like it almost brightened it up. I feel like without water, it's very like musty, funky, like dusty. It's like must, funk, dust, all that stuff. But with water, I feel like it actually like brightens it up, and I'm getting more like lemon and like citrus and really bright fruits.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. It just seemed, it brightened it up and definitely
really did.
Even it was fruity before, but it's
fruitier with water for sure.
And just take it away from your nose. Give your nose a break for a little bit, and then come back to it. And with the water, it'll really.
Should I do the coffee bean trick?
Oh yeah.
Duke McHale was asking, is there an earthy funk to this? I would say yes.
Yeah.
That there is it's like a damp, dank paper, wood, like mossy, foresty, like old haunted wooden mansion castle funk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's not necessarily take over strong. I mean,
No, not at all. Very balanced.
It's more sweet and fruity up front, and then just some tail end of that funk showing on the palate. But oh yeah, it's just it's very nice.
So at the end of the year, when we do those top 5 whiskey things, where we like talk about our favorite like 5 whiskeys of the year, our top 5 whiskeys of the year. Well, you already know what one of mine's going to be. It's so good. Okay. I like the nose with water. Definitely a little brighter. It just like kind of brings it to life. But I like it better without water on the palate.
I'm getting a little tobacco. The old books still showing now, coming out with the water. Oh, nutty, sweet. Ooh, what was that? There was a.
I love it when that happens. You're just like, taste it. What was that?
No, that was like. It's a weird one. That was like a hard-boiled egg, like the yolk of a hard-boiled egg.
What? It's on your charcuterie board.
Well, it could be.
Yeah. I mean, the beautiful thing about a charcuterie board is that you can put anything you want on it. Sometimes I put chicken wings on mine.
Interesting.
Yeah. This whiskey is I'm going to just leave this glass that has a little water in it because no. And I'm going to pour a little more neat without water.
Oh yeah, second round of water on mine. It hasn't changed for the better here. I think a little bit more of the tobacco is showing though now. Oh my God. Wow. Ooh, ashy.
It is. Now that I've gone back to, I just poured a little baby, literally a baby dram of this into a new glass. And okay, do you know like the smell of like a shoe store or like brand new pair of shoes? Like that smell.
Yeah.
I got like a whiff of that.
What?
Like a whiff of brand new shoes or like a shoe shop. It's just, there's so much to unpack here. On that note, I'm going to read the tasting notes, but I'm going to read the full tasting notes because
all right,
the ones on the bottle don't really kind of dive into everything. So I'm going to read the full tasting notes on this because they are definitely worth hearing. Because this whiskey is so fantastic. All right. So this says a wonderfully deep and funky aroma, one that incorporated petrol, leathery bodega earthiness, salinity, hothouse flowers. I'm not going to say that word right, but it is the noble rot of the grape, cookie dough and dried exotic fruits. Heady, intoxicating, and totally thrilling. Reduction brought out game meats, perfume musk. Oh, that's a great note. Perfume musk. There is a musk to this whiskey for sure. Fruit juices, almonds, pistachio ice cream, cedar wood, and Hessian. A real smorgasbord of aromas. That is literally it in a nutshell. The palate opened with concentrated and intense notes of fruit cordials and syrups, exotic fruit teas, aromatic wood spices, licorice, mineral oils, and soft waxes. With water, it remains superbly juicy and textural, but also showed notes of candied mango chunks, passion flower, and herbal ointments. Matured for 17 years in a bourbon barrel before being transferred to a first fill ex-Sauterne barrique. And to note, this is in 700 milliliter format. So this is not a 750, something to just make note of that we want to be completely transparent about. This whiskey is, think of all of your whiskey dreams, smorgasbord them up, and then put them into a bottle. This is it.
All right. So just real quick right now, wow, because you've been talking, you haven't had a drink for a couple of minutes because you've been talking, but just right now, lick your gums, and what are you getting right now? Because I've got a great. No, do it before you just right because of the finish on this. Are you getting?
It's been too long. I gotta taste it again.
All right. Real quick question. Sanctus Vitae said, what kind of nut notes? And that was before you actually went through the tasting notes. They said almond and pistachios. I was going lighter nuts as well, kind of peanut or macadamia nut. Not real strong, but I'd agree probably pistachio.
I was going to say. I could definitely get that pistachio like essence of pistachio. And now that, but you like swish it.
Yeah. Vortex 1988. Do you think someone who doesn't normally enjoy Irish whiskey would like this one? I'm not typically a fan of the bright green notes and grain I usually get out of Irish whiskey. Well, so I would preface that like because Irish whiskeys, there's really kind of two factions. You've got your single pot stills and you've got single malt whiskeys. Your single pot stills do produce a different character because they use malted and unmalted barleys. So this is a single malt though. This is 100% malted barley. There's definitely no green here. This is well aged, no grain, anything like that. And really, I mean, I've had some excellent pot stilled Irish whiskeys, and I've had some excellent single malt whiskeys as well. Another thing about Irish whiskey as well is the majority, if not all, are triple distilled. Is that part? Do they have to be triple distilled for Irish whiskey?
That's a great question, but I do know. So to kind of go back, Bushmills does use pot stills. I believe they have like 10 different pot stills in their distillery. But it's funny because we don't put out a lot of Irish whiskey. It's actually quite rare that we do it. So I'd have to look back and see how we've labeled them in the past. If they've been labeled like.
No, you can still use the pot. They use pot stills.
Right. But it's 100% malted barley.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know if we've ever had, I'm just curious, like in the past, if we've had anything that's been a pot still.
The single pot still method.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'd have to look back and see.
So I'm trying to think. Redbreast for sure is single pot still.
There's so much great Irish whiskey out there.
Yeah.
I think this would actually be a really good kind of, I don't want to say like introductory or like introduction into Irish whiskey, because I think you could taste this blind and almost say that it has some Scotchy vibes to it, you know? So I think that you could taste this blind and be kind of caught up.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think I'd peg this as an Irish whiskey either. But what is surprising now talking about that, though, because like with the triple distillation, it enters the cask around usually 70 to 80% ABV, which is a lot higher. You know, a lot of scotches go in there around 60, 65%. And this one after 19 years is down to 56.2%. With that triple distillation, it would have entered the cask really high.
Yeah, sure. This is, if you're on the fence about Irish whiskey, because it's so funny because, you know, I talk to a lot of people just about whiskey in general, and a lot of people are still like, oh, Irish whiskey, it's not really my thing. If you're looking for an Irish whiskey that teeters on the fence of being very Scotchy, you know, and not so much that maybe what people perceive Irish whiskey to be, this is definitely a whiskey for you. I think this is just an incredibly beautiful example of just how fantastic Irish whiskey is. And I would have 100 bottles of this on my shelf if I could.
Yeah, this is a good one. So I've been drinking. I've got 3 rounds of water on mine. I like this neat. I liked it with 1 round. After that, it hasn't really done anything. I'm going to go back, though, to real quick back to a neat sip here to see what happens.
And I think too, like in talking about the category of Irish whiskey, you just look at it. I mean, I've been in whiskey for almost 8 years now. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Time's going by so fast. And even in just the almost 8 years that I've been in whiskey, I feel like the not necessarily the quality, but just like what's coming out of these distilleries has changed so much. There's so much beautiful Irish whiskey out there. And it's really exciting to see that category just take off. And it's, again, I'm going to tone down my excitement. But this is just a really beautiful example of what Irish whiskey can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I had high expectations though, and they were met.
I did too, because
disappoint.
I broke it down in my head and I was like, I really like this distillery. Older whiskeys from this distillery are like mind blowing. And Then I saw the Sauterne and I was like, oh man. I was like, if there's a whiskey for Jenna, it is this. And so I did have really high expectations for this. And every box was checked.
George Kaplan is asking, tasting this blind, could you see yourself calling this one a Campbelltown? I don't think so.
That is a great question.
That is a great question. I mean, the funk is there, but I think it's more tied to the wine cask finishing and not the distillate. How do you tell that? That's a good question.
Right.
Can I tell that? I don't know.
That is a good question.
Yeah.
But I could see that this could be a little Campbelltowny. Like it is a little, again, this teeters on that like Scotch Irish kind of cusp. But like you said, how do you know? Is it from the distillate or is it from the cask?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think when you combine the sweet notes, the tropical notes, and those with the funk, that it's obvious it come from the wine cask finishing. And you could think Madeira, you could think Sauternes, you could think what else is in there with a little bit of funkiness to Marsala. For me, in my experience in tasting things in ex wine cask, I don't get funk really like this in anything but Sauterne. Like for me, like Sauterne gives this just there. It's like, I don't know how, it's like a blue cheese note that I get. And that's why I opened that bottle of Sauterne tonight, because I was like, I just want to kind of, familiarize my palate because it's been quite some time. And there is just that funky like blue cheese note. I'm like, it is like the most obvious just connection. And I don't get that I've not gotten that really with other wine finishes. So yeah, I would agree. I was trying to think though. Yeah.
This is like one of those whiskeys that like kind of blows your mind and you got to sit with for a while, and you can really just dig into the history of Irish whiskey, what is Sauterne and what is that process like? This is from like one of the oldest distilleries. What is that like? I don't know. There's just so much to dig into. And then you have the tasting notes. You could dig into the nose of this whiskey for a very long time.
Yeah.
You could dig into the palate of this whiskey for a very long time. Like this is a conversation piece kind of whiskey. So
what was neat was I took 3 or 4 rounds of water on this glass and I'd worked my way down. And then I went back to the neat, and I do like this one neat. And going back to it neat, it's phenomenal. But it's funny because after kind of almost like deconstructing it or watering it down and all this other stuff was kind of, coming out, revealing itself. Now, when I go back to it neat, it's like, oh yeah, there's that note. It's like all these things that I found when it had some water on it.
Yeah.
Are still there. And they're just kind of overflowing at the brim. Fill it to the rim with brim.
Yeah, this would be one of those whiskeys that's very hard not to, as you say, swig, glug, or knock back.
SMWS whiskeys are not swigging, glugging, or knocking back.
But this is also one of those whiskeys that you really want to just like sit, put like some, I don't know, beautiful music on, take a moment, pause, really get into this. Like this is one worth taking your time with.
But on the other note, this is one that you would regret that you only got 1 bottle of, though, too.
But you don't have it's a 1 bottle.
I know.
It's a 1 bottle limit.
It is. It's so good. I mean, this would be one that I would be like, I want 2 bottles of that.
I want to line my shelf with this bottle.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. It's fantastic. And it's just, it is definitely worth entering that lottery for. And you would consider yourself very lucky to get selected for this.
Whiskey Goodness says, thanks for rubbing it in, Scott. We only get 1 bottle too.
Yeah, we do too. And I'm honestly like, when I got the message, like if I wanted to do this, I was like, what?
I know.
Me?
Me
Are you
too.
sure? Yes, I do. I felt lucky getting to have this experience at this moment and to be able to sit down and share our thoughts on it, as I do with all of our whiskeys. But when I saw this, and I was just very excited.
I would say what's kind of different though, so 19 years old, it's got a great finish, but it's more like the fruits and the sweetness is hanging on.
Yeah.
It's not the oak. It doesn't have that really rich
Mm-mm.
depth of oak that's clinging there on the palate. It's that sweetness and the fruits and the funk that hangs on. And I mean, it's still here, just in the background. And yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm just this. It just delivers on every level. The nose is just, I mean, it's captivating. You could just nose this thing for a very long time, and then you taste it, and that viscosity and that mouthfeel is just, I mean, it's a dream. And then you taste it, and you're like, oh my gosh, like you don't get whiskeys like this, very often. At least I don't. I mean, maybe some people do. I mean, this is just a really beautifully composed whiskey.
Yeah. I just had something cross my mind, and then I forgot what it was. It's a short trip.
It's because you're just relishing in this.
Oh no, I went back to the one I'd had a couple sips on the neat, going back to the neat sample. Just went back to the watered one. There's 3 or 4 rounds of water on there. So there's more nuttiness and more tobaccos that are showing now as the water is. As at first, water kind of brought out more of the sweetness. It's bringing out kind of more of that the earthiness and tobaccos and those things. But yeah, still delicious, still good. So, all right, go. You have until Monday.
Yes, Monday at 1:00 Eastern time. We have dropped the link right below us, so you can click it right from here or check your email. We have sent the link to that with the full tasting notes, all of the details. You can enter the lottery that way, and it's definitely worth taking a chance.
Yeah, definitely. It's one you would regret not getting.
Yeah, this is really beautiful. So
yeah,
very happy to have had this moment.
Very nice indeed.
So yeah, a couple of other things just really quick before we bid you all a good night. Our Outturn preview tastings are coming up on Sunday and Monday. So I'll be in Tampa. So if anyone's watching from Tampa, I will see you all there on Sunday. Scott's going to be out in San Diego and Los Angeles. And I believe there are still a couple of tickets left for San Diego. So if you are in the San Diego area, please go join Scott. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be tasting 7 whiskeys in person. And the lineup is really fantastic for March. And then I will be back here on Monday at 8:00 Eastern time with a guest to taste through the March Outturn preview tasting and give you a full list of everything that's coming out. And we have a couple other really exciting things coming up, but that's kind of it in the short term. So anything else that I missed?
So yes, this upcoming Sunday, I'll be hosting the San Diego tasting at 7 Grand, and then Monday night in Tam O'Shanter's in Burbank or Los Angeles. And I love doing the in-person events, but it makes me miss these the YouTube virtual.
I know.
Last month you got to do it, and then you get to do it.
You'll be really far away.
Yeah.
But I'm just flying in and flying out on Sunday, so it'll be a long day. But I'll be back here on Monday to host the virtual Outturn preview tasting. So very much looking forward to that.
All right. Well, thanks everybody that tuned in.
Yeah.
Are we wrapping? I think we're wrapping it up.
We're wrapping it up. All right.
Remember, Scotch Malt Whiskey Society whiskeys aren't for swigging, glugging, or knocking back. Please drink responsibly. Cheers.